You're listening to 17 Carat K-Pop, the show that's a little bit of everything with a K-pop twist. Visit 17caratkpop.weebly.com for more information about the show. That's 17caratkpop.weebly.com. Enjoy the show! Hello everybody and welcome back to 17 Carat K-Pop. I'm very excited about today's episode. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about and theorizing about the new Stray Kids album, how it fits into the larger music video universe they've created, breaking down all the meanings of the new songs. I've just been living for this new album lately and I am so excited to share my thoughts with you. So, enjoy this entirely Stray Kids dedicated episode. I'm not even doing any headlines or anything today. I have those ready to talk about, but I'm going to save it for the next episode, which is I'm hoping to release later this week and not wait till next week, but we'll see. But I just wanted to make sure I got this new Stray Kids episode up right away because I'm so excited to share it and because it's super relevant and timely to talk about. So enjoy the conversation about Stray Kids after this required commercial break. Sorry about that, but enjoy the rest of the show. In order to fully understand and appreciate the depth and layers and storyline of the new Stray Kids album and how it fits into my theories about the plot line going forward for the whole Stray Kids music video universe, we have to go back to the beginning. And since I've already really dived into the key plot points of past Stray Kids albums and the music videos, I'll focus more on lyrics for today's episode and then lead into talking about the music video plot and the symbolism and lyrics and all of that for the new album. So I'll be faster as I talk about the first releases in this saga. So starting the story with Elevator, the key lyric there that I pulled out from the song is, "I'm holding up this cruel, dreadful day alone," and that seemed to be what Elevator is all about. Like, the symbolism's pretty clear, elevator to hell, feeling like life is this maze. Right off the bat, Stray Kids were referencing a maze as symbolism and not knowing where to go, referencing a lack of a compass or a lack of a map, lack of direction in life. Those themes are recurring ever since that very first installment in their storyline. So then all the Stray Kids members do ride this elevator to this room that is introducing another world to them. So they get into this room which is just a lot brighter, a lot more welcoming. It's got the purple fields that they enter and they're just laughing and goofing off together. So the video transitions from a really literally darker place to this happy field. So they basically, right from the get-go, established that the plot is going to have to do with trying to figure out where your place is in the world, and if you can't find it, you make your own world, is basically what they're doing, and they're entering a new universe, both kind of literally in this plot and just metaphorically. So then we enter the I Am Not trilogy. District 9 is really key for my analysis of the latest music video for Backdoor. So please pay attention if you pay attention to any of this early part of the show. Pay attention to my District 9 description. So in the District 9 video, all the Stray Kids members are in these white identical outfits. They're in some prison type facility. They're each handed a red pill and everything is white except they get the red pills. That they're all in these identical outfits. It's pretty much a symbol of this conformity and resisting it, especially when later on in the District 9 video they take over this school bus and they basically ram the school bus through this portal type thing. At least that's what they seem to be alluding to have done. It's a whole thing. Anyway, they're basically leaving the conformity that you associate sometimes with traditional education systems and whatnot behind them, and red continues to be a symbol in the video. Bang Chang has this red rose. Amidst all this gray in the scene, he sees the red rose, and at one point they also are looking at this red paper that they unfurl and read, which is probably their instructions or something. So anyway, they're in this facility where clearly they're not given the freedom of thought that they want to live a truly happy and successful full life. And so they're basically taught to dress the same, act the same, and their forms of rebellion are taking place, symbolized by these red objects, whether it's red instructions that they throw up or discard, or the red pill or the red rose or whatever. So this is also the video where we get introduced to the Stray Kids flag with where they spray paint their logo on it. So really an ultimate symbol of them establishing their own society here. So key things to please keep in mind as we will return to them later in this discussion. The white uniforms, the bursts of red like color throughout the scenes with red roses, red pills, etc., and the red instructions, and the flag with their logo on it. Please take note of those details for later. They'll be important later on. Then there were some B-sides that I still found worth talking about a little. Grow Up did get a music video, but it was still technically a B-side. That really was a song of, well, we'll talk about that later. It's more just about the vibe of the song that's important to keep in mind for the sake of understanding Stray Kids, not the plot. But Mirror does have more references to the plot of the story with lyrics like "Caged in my own confusion" and "I'm the reflection, I'm a maze," or in the reflection, I'm a maze, like not recognizing yourself in the mirror and growing up and just the struggles with that continues to be a theme. I Am Who is when we had songs with similar themes like breaking free from voices in your head and inside my head too many questions. All of those lyrics are super relatable and definitely go to the storyline about getting older and being confused about that. But then, of course, My Pace was the song all about kind of just staying in your lane and taking your time. So I'm just going to jump into a quick reference to the new album right now because My Pace is clearly a song that its partner song is The Tortoise and the Hare. So I would just keep that in mind. I just think that was a pretty intentional roundabout back to the first trilogy. We're in the new trilogy, the live trilogy, I guess you could call it, but this is the I Am trilogy that they started with, and it also had a song with a similar theme. So I'm going to talk about that more later, but just know that the trilogies feel like they're coming full circle, and My Pace is definitely a song that feels like it was to go along with the tortoise and the hare theme of, the slow and steady wins the race in a way. You don't have to compare yourself to other people in terms of the speed and the length of their success. You're on your own path. Jealousy is pointless. You're doing your own thing and you're on your own journey. I Am You is a video that starts with this throwback film reel. We see the playground setting and the couch from the elevator video. So now the couch is back from that video, and we're back to that scene where we see the Stray Kids laughing and just having a good time together with I Am You. And so remember that in the first time we saw that those props in that setting, they were singing about feeling like they were left alone and feeling very lonely with their thoughts. And then I Am You seems like a partner song that mirrors that and flips it on its head, saying, this song has lyrics like "Let me run with you." We're in the same space, the same time. We're more alike than we think is basically the message. So they went from feeling alone to having each other's backs, basically, is the parallel there. It's really great. And Miro is when we entered the next chapter. So first we had that was the I Am trilogy, where they were basically trying to find and establish a name for themselves and better get to know themselves. Then we entered the Clay trilogy, which has Miro, Yellow, Wood, and Levantar. And Miro means mirror in French. That is clearly that is such a Stray Kids title for several reasons. One is because they're all about mixing meanings and wordplay with their song titles. They've done that, a lot with this new live series, Go Live and In Life, and we're going to talk about that later, but I'm just saying that it's really a cool, clever way to embody the Stray Kids message through even just the song titles, by basically showing that music is that universal language and their messages are so universal. So youth around the world and people of all ages around the world really can relate to Stray Kids. And so using other languages is a great way to remind people of that the message still translates. And another thing about this song title is that, of course, it references a mirror, which has to do with what I've been talking about, how a lot of these songs seem to be mirror reflections of each other, opposites of each other, or just in general, a mirror having to do with looking at yourself and trying to figure out who you are and come to terms with that, and really just create your identity over time. That is such a common theme throughout the music video world and throughout the lyrics. So clearly they had to have some album or song named after a mirror because it's a recurring reference. The key B-side to keep in mind from that album would be Chronosaurus, because Chronosaurus is about, it's a way of like personifying, but it's a dinosaur, not a person. So dinosaurifying the concept of time, basically with lyrics like, why does time run to me so fast? I'm gonna run so time doesn't see me. So it's basically a way of trying to find a way to visualize the concept of time in a physical form, and fears about how fast time is going and how fast they're growing up. But keep in mind the concept of time that's relevant to the music video story we will talk about. Then we had Side Effects, which had, that one is when we see the two moons in the sky. So keep that in mind. It's the clearest indication yet that there are several parallel worlds as part of this storyline. TMT was a B-side that had more lyrics about walking around without a map and feeling lost. Double Knot has some major lyrics about a broken compass, but being okay with it. So they went from singing about wishing they had a compass to realizing they had it all along, but it's broken, but it actually doesn't matter. They never needed it anyway. It was a security blanket of sorts for them to have, and they are enjoying the unknown of life without a map. And so that's what Double Knot is all about. They also have this lyric in there called Life is a 5-star movie, and that will be relevant later on too. So keep all of that in mind. Levantar is when we get a ton of new symbolism. In the Levantar video, it starts with zooming in through this keyhole, so the camera goes through this keyhole to show the other world on the other side here. And, you know, that's clearly a throwback to past videos with My Pace and Elevator. There's a building scene on fire. Keep that symbolism in mind. We see the two moons again, and all the Stray Kids members at one point in the video pass through the doorway, and now they're on the other side where it's a lot brighter, and you kind of get the picture for by now of where what the story's all about, at least broadly. So the Astronaut video has more lyrics about being okay with getting lost. Astronaut was big in terms of the school bus imagery, because then we see the bus from the District 9 video just glitching. So it's not like the school bus is just there and they're overtaking it. Now it's been overpowered and it's crumbling. And so they've totally just dismantled that system in a way. And so that is key to keep in mind for the storyline. Also, Hyunjin's character sees this glowing like orb type thing that he's fascinated by. And I think the symbolism here to keep in mind is not necessarily the orb itself, but the fact that Hyunjin is the character who sees it. Hyunjin is a main character here, and we're going to talk about why later, but just keep that in mind. So that's what happened with Levantar. So now we are up to the latest. So quick refresher, we had the I Am trilogy after the release of Elevator, and Elevator started off the story introducing us to parallel worlds and whatnot. The I Am series was all about resisting conformity and trying to figure out who you are and struggling with lack of direction in life, but then finding solace in these friendships with each other and embracing the unknown and the ambiguities of life and having an uncertain future and viewing that as a good thing rather than a bad thing, comparing life to a movie, and the broken compass analogy, the two moons. I think we've got all the symbolism covered there. Okay, so we covered the I Am trilogy and Elevator, which preceded that release, where we were introduced to these multiple worlds and all of the symbols with their flag, the school bus being dismantled, and the bursts of red color. I think we've covered the two moons. We've covered a lot, so I won't review all of it, but that's what the I Am trilogy was about. And then in the Clay trilogy, they were really more immersed in that world. So they were in the process of creating that world. They were at first in the process of resisting the old world, and then the Clay trilogy was them in the process of creating a new world that's preferable and just better for them as in terms of their personal growth, and one that they identified with more. And then this new trilogy I think it's going to be a trilogy that we have now with the latest 2 album releases, seems to be about them now. Okay, now we're living in this new world. Now what are we going to do with it? The work isn't done. What do we want to do? Where do we go from here? And so you'll see what I mean by that, I think, as I break it down more. But Go Live is the album where we had the song God's Menu, and it always makes me think of God's Plan, only it's personally way better. Don't sue me, but I'm saying that. I'm putting that out there. Anyway, God's Menu is a song that is, again, this shows off Stray Kids using play on words, really, because the translated version of the phrase God's Menu in Korean also means new menu. And so basically, the song uses cooking as kind of an analogy for their album, that it has a lot of different flavors. They all add their own spice to it. They are creating something totally new and something that doesn't necessarily require like following the recipe bit by bit, but just going their own way and just doing things not by the book, but just finding a way to mix things up and combine a lot of sounds into one cohesive project. So I think that's a really clever analogy and really accurate for how albums can be made, really, especially with these bigger bands, that it is like they're adding all their own little ingredients to the final formula. And so that's what the song really highlights. But it has a lot more meaning than that too, which goes back to the Chinese meaning. So Go Live is the symbol used for the Go Live title is not in English. So the word go is written in English, but then it's followed by the Chinese symbol for the word life. So then the phrase translates to hardship. So again, another play on meaning where Go Live could sound empowering or it could reference hardship, which pretty much embodies the fact that Stray Kids always delivers God's menu in a way, where they always provide us with an album that mixes comforting songs with songs that are just so fierce and empowering, with songs that are more melancholy and reflective. They really do have quite the menu on their albums, and now we have the phrase to say it. There are some other key B-sides on that album, like Blueprint is, and especially the video for Blueprint where they've got the bright blue skies, and clearly it's just they're in that part of the world that's just a lot brighter and happier in that alternate world, and there are lyrics in there like, I'm proudly living my dream now, and things like that. Haven is another great B-side that highlights Stray Kids' more sentimental side, where they talk about comforting fans through songs, creating this new world that we can go to mentally just for a special little musical source of refuge from our daily lives, and where we can be understood by the Stray Kids, and they are there for us. That's why they say the phrase Stray Kids everywhere all around the world, so we can all find the other Stray Kids and live in this alternate world together. Phobia is another key B-side, talking about just struggling with paranoia over someone leaving your life. And there are other more deep songs as well, but of course there are just more fun songs too. There's the mix, like always. It's like God's menu. And so the Stray Kids members themselves have said a lot of the theories that I'm going to present about the symbols in this latest album are my theories, as usual, not confirmed. That's how it's often left up to fans' interpretation. But Stray Kids have revealed a little bit about the deeper meaning behind the new album, and part of it is them talking about this Go series being about how Go Live was really about taking that first step. This was their confirmed interpretation, which is that Go Live is really about that first leap of faith. And then this new album, In Life, is about what you do after that happens. What are the next steps from there? And so it has to do with the message that's been going on throughout their whole catalog, as well as through this specific part of the catalog. So let's dive right in now. I think I've caught you all up with all the symbols and everything to keep in mind. So let's talk about the video for Backdoor and all of the symbolism from the other songs that had little teaser videos associated with them. So we're going to lead up to the Backdoor analysis, so let's talk about the other songs. This is really exciting. I've really given a lot of thought into these theories, so very excited to see hopefully a few more revelations about the album's true meaning from Stray Kids over the next few weeks as they do promo for this comeback. Very excited to read all of that. So anyway, here are my interpretations. So there's a song called Be Me that has this teaser video, and so in this video we see Felix. He is, before he's walking around outside holding a camera, he is a character who's just like sitting in this room, and he's looking at this roll of film, like a strip that comes out of a camera, maybe a video camera, but he's looking at a film strip. And okay, yes, again, these are all my theories, so some of this seems a bit out there, but I'm just going with it. So he's looking at the roll of film that's like this dark red, it has this dark red tinge to it, and so you know what it made me think of when I saw that is those rolled up instructions that they were reading on strips of paper in that prison facility in District 9. So I'm just saying it's very interesting because it went if my theory is right about the symbol here, it's basically it went from being this rolled up instruction they had to follow to a rolled up film strip that they put their own memories on, as opposed to just following the orders of someone else. Now they've taken control of the narrative, the information they're seeing, and that's just how I interpret it. So Lino's character is really huge here to remember. He's lying on the ground in this video he's in this empty parking garage. The small flames are bursting around him. He's got this cut on his face. It looks like there might have been some incident with a car crash, and I'll leave it there. A lot of this will sound like pointless, but just trust me. I think take note of all these details because they'll have to do with my final summative analysis. So, other key moments from this video, we see Bang Chang just kind of sitting there with his headphones on, tuning out the rest of what's going on. We see Hyunjin posing by this motorcycle. We see Han, he sets fire to this piece of paper, which I don't know what it said, but it kind of looked like it was like a list of rules or laws or regulations, and he's just kind of getting rid of that old system of expectations by setting fire to it. Just gonna throw that out there. Changbin is trying to shoot basketball hoops, but he keeps missing by a lot and growing extra frustrated. Then Lino's character gets up he was the one that was lying on the ground, and him and Hyunjin are back to back, and the motorcycle starts circling them. So keep that in mind, Lino and Hyunjin are back together in the video. The final scene shows all the members together watching their memories on a projector screen. So they're sitting on the roof of their car, and it's kind of like a drive-in movie setting where they're watching their old memories being played out on screen. Okay, so quick recap from that video. We had that film strip being looked at. We had the little flames around the car crash type scene. Hyunjin and Lino's characters teaming up. Basketball hoop. The drive-in movie, and the again reflecting on and literally watching their old memories and the times they just hung out carefree together. They're chilling around the car. That I think that sums up what you need to keep in mind for my grand reveal at the end of this episode. So the Any video starts with this image of a speeding car, and the speeding car in that video, each time there are like little blips that interrupt the image, so it's like a bunch of flashing images of that same car, but with every flash of the image, you see a new Stray Kids member in the driver's seat. So a lot of symbolism you can take from that, but I just found that very interesting. So each of them get a turn in the driver's seat, taking the wheel, and the speeding car, another interesting thing I noticed about that is it's got these green headlights. And so far in this series, we've had red-tinged everything. Red light has been a huge symbol, but now we have green headlights, and that feels symbolic in more ways than one. We also see that the boys gather around this box and they see some shining object in it, possibly that orb type thing from the astronaut video, but that's unclear. And also, I found it very interesting and worth noting that the Any teaser video was the only teaser video, aside from like the backdoor video, is the only video from this new album to include their slogan, "You make Stray Kids stay," on screen at the very, very end of it. So Any and Backdoor are the only ones that say "You make Stray Kids stay" on the screen at the end. I found that very interesting. This one that has the symbolism of the green light and like each of them getting a turn in the driver's seat is linked to the Backdoor video. I just keep that in mind. I found that worth noting. So again, car symbolism, green light. Now let's talk about the X video. So for the X video, we had the bright blue skies. Again, that's that happy world like from the Blueprint video, or the Levantar, like the alternate universe, where they're just jumping up and down and just, that's a very more carefree parallel world that they're in. But then things get a little bit more somber when we see each of the members wearing like a ghost sheet over their heads with the eye holes, and they're all just like literal ghosts sitting spaced out in their house. The only ones that are in a room together, really, it looks like, are two of the ghosts that are sitting very spread out from each other in this TV room watching a TV. But on TV, it's like just a flame. So like it's like if you played one of those DVDs where it just looks like a log or like a fireplace or something, like a digital fireplace. That's basically what's on the TV that they are watching. And so there are a couple of things to note about that scene. One is that it's very interesting for this moment in history for them to release a video where everyone is so physically spread out from each other and feels like ghosts. They don't recognize each other. They don't really talk to each other much. Just seems very, very eerily relevant to today's day and age. Second thing is that I'm so mad at myself for thinking this, but of course when I saw the ghost images and the fact that they're like just acting like they're drifting through life, my first thought was, wow, when you try to make the Zombie Day 6 music video on a budget. But of course I'm sorry, my multi-fandom jokester popped out, and it wasn't, we do not love to see it, but there it was. That was my first thought. But this is way better than a low-budget version of the zombie video, so just a joke. Anyway, so also keep in mind from that video there is the flame on the TV, and again it's that flame imagery. The flame's never dying out throughout this saga. Also, at the very end of that video, Lino's character, the one who was in that car crash scene and the one who was teaming up with Hyunjin at one point, Lino's character is in a flower field at one moment, and just keep that in mind. Lino's character is so huge here. So, we've talked about Any, X, Be Mine, Torso in the Hair. Let's talk about Backdoor. So first of all, there's like a prelude to the full Backdoor video that we need to talk about. Oh, one more really quick. Let's talk about In. So the video for In, we see, which is kind of like the Backdoor prelude anyway, but it's more of a separate album video. Anyway, we're going to talk about them as one video. So here are the two main teasers that led up to the big Backdoor music video. So in these videos, we see there's a huge scene here in the In video that you've got to pay close attention to my description of. So, two big things stand out to me about it. One is that they try to get access to this building, and there are two security guards standing in their way. There's a moment where the camera zooms in on one of the security guards' watches. So, just keep that in mind. Again, the time symbolism here and the concept of time remains relevant, I think, and that was, I think, a little nod to that fact. Then, the second big thing I noticed that was worth mentioning is that, so the camera really quickly like flashes in and out to focus on different things, and each time it focuses on the security guard's point of view. So if you were the security guard facing the people trying to get in, it's from that angle. And the camera will show like a different person staring down the guard each time the camera flashed. And so the first image that you flash to is Hyunjin just standing there alone. Second time the camera pans to that scene, you see Hyunjin, and now Felix and Lino are backing him. Remember, Lino's a key character, and then Felix also, he's the one that was looking at the film strips and reflecting on their memories a lot. Key players in this story. Third time the image flashes, then suddenly all the members of Stray Kids are there. Then the last time it flashes, all of the members are there, and this sea of people in identical white outfits. So we went from Stray Kids wearing these identical uniforms and feeling like they had to conform to now they're the only people who are not wearing the identical white uniforms. So that, again, it was a blink and Hyunjin was there. A blink and then Hyunjin with two others were there. Blink again, and now all 8 members of Stray Kids are there. Blink a fourth time, all Stray Kids members, and an army of people in white outfits behind them. So keep that in mind. That is so huge to my main theory. So then in the Backdoor opening video, we had this theme song style cartoony intro where each member gets this prop and this setting to be in. Some more symbolic than others, and I could break them all down, but I just think I'll focus on a few characters in what props they got. Bang Chan got the flag with the Stray Kids logo on it. and we will return to that thought later. But keep that in mind. Changbin had a scepter with a red tassel on it. So again, a darker setting, but with a pop of red. Lino was in front of a moon, and you hear this wolf howl in the distance, and the moon symbolism is back. Hyunjin has the flame symbol back, and he's carrying a sword. Sunmin has the bright blue skies behind him. I believe those are the main ones to focus on. So, again, the moon, the flames, the bright blue sky, the flag, the color red, all really key here. Also in that intro video, we see this new doorway in front of the members, and it's surrounded by black smoke, and it's levitating above them, and each of the members has like a gold piece. This reminded me of EXO's story in a way, where like they each have a part of the tree, and they had to come together again to like restore the tree of life or whatever, and this seemed to be kind of like that, where they each have like a puzzle piece, and when they all throw their puzzle pieces in the air, they all combine to form this gold emblem type thing that then gets thrown at this levitating door and bursts the door open. So all this bright light floods in their faces, and they get to the other side of the door, I guess. And so keep that in mind. They've walked through a new door, they're in a new parallel universe, and they got there with each other's help, creating the uniting and connecting their stones of something. It was a very Power Rangers or Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy moment, depending on what you watched when you were a kid. So, backdoor, this is the key video. Here we go. So, Lino is a huge character again. He walks in this red-tinged room, this room with red-tinged lighting again, and Lino walks by these roses, these images of red roses on the wall. So again, I hope you remember those symbols from my District 9 description. So we've got the red color, we've got the roses. Then Lino's character is the one who pulls this lever, and that's when the song begins. So in that room, when he's alone, he pulls this lever, and the song begins. The song has, and this video has a couple of different rooms with different imagery going on that you could associate with them. There's this like school cafeteria scene where the people are dressed in school uniforms around them, but also a lot of people in the all-white outfits are there. And that scene is really, it has a literal red carpet, that pop of red. The rest of the scene is pretty blank, pretty just white. And so that one seemed important. Also, they're going back to the school setting. So all of that seemed symbolic and intentional. Then they're in this parking garage where the floor's pretty wet, and it looks like the parking garage where the flames were previously, but now are put out. And then there's this all-white room with a hardwood floor. There's not much there. It's just this narrow room. So anyway, so some of the rooms that they dance in during this video are pretty meaningful. Others are probably just for a change of scene. But some of them are much deeper. And the really big setting to keep in mind, I think, out of all of these is the room that is all white and has the doors all over the place. To me, the best way to describe it for anyone, actually, if you've seen the video or not, is that it reminded me of Monsters, Inc. The Monsters, Inc., when they had, like, the rows of hanging doors and door frames on these, like, conveyor belt type things that wrapped around and throughout the building. That's kind of what I think, I don't know, but I would love to know, did Stray Kids get inspiration from Monsters, Inc. for that scene? I'm so curious, because that's exactly where my mind went to when I saw all of these layers and rows of doors and door frames that are all white, that are like moving. I mean, it's not exactly the same. It wasn't the same level of like conveyor belt stuff happening, but they were all these layers of doors, and I don't know. That's just where my mind went. I'm very curious if that's where their minds went to, or if this is a weird coincidence. Anyway, so in the backdoor video, so they're in that room, and that one I think just seems to be the most symbolic, because again, this is a storyline with a lot of universes you could enter, and that is kind of what Monsters, Inc. doorways are about, where each room they enter leads them to somewhere else. Like they enter one doorway, and each doorway is for a monster to like scare a kid, if I remember correctly, but like it really is quite a good symbol for different universes and totally different worlds, because if I remember correctly, the Monsters, Inc. characters like walk through doorways and then suddenly they're like in Paris, or suddenly they're on like a tropical island. Like it was very much all over the place. It wasn't just like one bedroom to the next. Like there was a whole storyline that showed differences between each kid's backstory from each bedroom. Anyway, then the end of this video, there's a lot of celebration happening where their logo is shown on a flag that gets unfurled. The people in all the all white outfits and the hoods, the white hoodies, they are all there. And everyone's kind of cheering, confetti's raining down. It is a whole celebration that reminded me of the Miro video. At the very end of the video, or towards the end, we see these vases that have red and white flowers together. So we had red roses as constant imagery in this, but now suddenly, for the first time, I believe the red and white are in the same vase, the red and white roses. So I think that is worth noting here. So this is a very full circle moment because it reminds me of Miro. It reminds me of just in general the Levantar, like opening a new door to a new world. It's really a tying back around to past videos, and especially with the school setting or the school cafeteria-esque setting and the courtyard or whatever you want to call it. And their flag is back, which always seems to be a moment where they are symbolizing, hey, pay attention to this scene. This is a symbol here. It's not just a random scene. Other key thing I noticed, one more quick thing, is that the choreography at one point reminded me of Clockwork. And I don't know if that was intentional, but because of Chronosaurus and other songs that deal with the passage of time, I felt like the Clockwork was inspiration for that choreography at some point. So just worth noting. Some key lyrics from the song Backdoor are, one I really like was that the chorus chants authorized personnel only, and I just think that is so great and so Stray Kids because it's both sassy and like fierce and just to the point, but also it's dual meanings too. Like the thing about Stray Kids lyrics, like I said, is that they do have different meanings, and I think authorized personnel only, that has a literal meaning, but it also has the meaning of, hey, I'm a VIP is kind of your attitude. You can basically Stray Kids is all about reclaiming language and redoing it as you, redefining things as they, just choosing your own way to define things and reclaiming certain terms. And so that's what they kind of do. They're saying, we are the authorized personnel. We're not the excluded ones here. So that's basically what I got from that. And then the key lyric that really got to me was the body suffered enough from having a bad owner, and yikes, like that really hit me. That is like, and they have lyrics like that all the time where like you're singing about like the crow in the distance, or you're singing about like cooking up a food like a 5-star Michelin, or you're singing about freaking Bear Grylls or something. Something totally random and just seemingly goofy, but then all of a sudden they drop in this lyric that's like, hey, but don't forget this song is like about I'm incredibly insecure, or I feel betrayed, or I don't know who I am, or something else really deep. And so they always have lyrics like that kind of wake you up and remind you that they are so serving you God's menu. They're serving you both the bops, but also like the deeper stuff. Like they are sharing their light and heavy thoughts with us. And so anyway, that was a moment that stood out to me, just hearing that lyric and thinking about how they always encompass that with their music. It's always about, we're not shying away from opening up about our struggles, but we're also embracing the future and knowing things will get better. And that's what they talk about too, even outside of the music, in terms of their live streams content and their concert messages. All of it has to do with we get this too, and we are here for you and you're here for us, and we are getting through life together, and that is kind of their overall message. So where's all this going, and why did I point out all of this symbolism? So first of all, my first main theory is that their story was intended to be this loop of sorts. This, oh, how the tables have turned situation, where now they're the ones doing everything that they felt like they couldn't do before, and they are the ones that are getting the chance to stand out, getting the chance to do things they couldn't do before. But in some ways, their new world still mirrors the old one. So I guess a better way of putting this theory is that I think the parallels between the parallels are super intentional between the District 9 world that they left behind and this new world that they've created, because the new world the member stepped into still has all of these remnants of the old world, and it also has a lot of new things. So, for example, we still have the red roses, but now they're paired with other roses. We still have the light imagery, but it went from red to green. So these changes, these subtle, somewhat subtle changes to symbols, but the symbols are still there. Their flag they brought with them, things like that. That to me is really representing the fact that even no matter which alternate universe they walk into, it's going to come with some hardships and it's going to come with some baggage. They cannot just drop off in another world. So they're always going to have certain things in their past that they have to hold on to and come to terms with, but they can still move forward and make things better in the future. And now they're the ones in control of their destiny. And that's really, I think, what their message is throughout everything they do. Other key thing, I think, is just showing that they won in a sense, and they're always winning, against their inner demons and against their voices they always sing about voices in their head, and, trying to figure out what is best for them, just personally to grow and to step out of other people's spotlight and go their own way in life. That is key. Another key theme here I see is just that this is all kind of reflecting on youth, and again, making peace with the past, but still embracing change in the future. So it's all about really, there are all these moments in these videos where the Stray Kids members are watching their old memories on a projector, or they're just like reenacting a scene of just like childlike goofing off, like playing hoops together, or I don't know why I said playing hoops, like shooting hoops together, playing basketball, or, just pushing each other around on the shopping carts. In the astronaut video, I believe, they're on a playground together, just like the times where they're goofing off in the sunshine and just having a blast. Those times they constantly flash back to during the saga, and then you have the darker, grittier scenes too. So again, it's like they can't escape. No matter how hard they try to run away from past issues, they can't escape them. So it's all about confronting them and finding a way to live with them and make peace with them, and then move on and create a better tomorrow. And so I definitely think that was part of the school bus imagery this whole time, is about, well, you've got to do this, but you can find a way to do it, Kind of like, with the school bus example specifically, we had the thought of, oh, well, you have to go to school and you have to get an education, but you deserve to decide what to do with that education and what you want to take away from school, what broader lessons you really learn from it, just in terms of the world and what it taught you about interacting in the world and what it taught you that you'd rather unlearn. And so it's all about learning and unlearning, this whole storyline and the whole way they talk about growing up. And so it's a constant process. It's a yin and yang feedback loop that they have to face, because that's life. And so really, I think also, so here are my main takeaways we have here with all of these symbols. So one thing I think is that, first of all, the story is about that you need the good to learn from the bad to learn from the good, etc. in life. Second thing is really about the passage of time and reflecting on that and how fast you want to go, and just remembering to slow down when you need to. That is a key thing they talk about a lot in their music. And the third thing I think is just about like what the song God's Menu is all about. It's, you can present all facets of yourself and don't have to box yourself in. So that's why I think the flame symbolism is there. Quick symbolism recap to better summarize this. So the flag with their logo on it is clearly still in the story all the way up until this latest video, because that is who they are, and that continues to be a theme, because I think other symbols like that we just see that aren't changing, the ones that are in ways like the colored lights and whatnot, those are definitely changing to show that they're moving on from that past, but finding a way to learn from the past but still move on from it and evolve out of it, as opposed to just like ignoring it or blocking it out. But then there are the others where instead of just trying to learn from old memories, they are kind of just taking on totally new memories that they don't have a precedent for, and they're just going their own way. And so I think the flag is a symbol of those moments, and the fact that no matter what they do and what the symbols mean throughout their story, they will always still have some symbols that never change. Is that at their core, they're always Stray Kids, and so their sound changes over time, their symbols may change colors or change general visually where they are in the video or which character involves those symbols, but the core message, this core logo on their flag, their slogan, "You make Stray Kids stay," those will stay, and that just shows that they are all about, presenting new songs to you, but never losing what makes them Stray Kids and what makes their music Stray Kids music. So I also think we'll continue to see this parallel worlds concept show up a lot. I think the flame logo will consistently be there, the flame imagery, because it's like this spark in them that they're not letting die out no matter what. So I think we will see that again. I do think that we will also see the moon image again, and they're not done in this world. I think we will see more world exploring and world hopping in different Stray Kids videos. So I think this plot line will continue. And also, I would keep an eye on Lino's character, as well as Hyunjin and Felix's, because they seem to be kind of his accomplices in some ways here. So keep that in mind, because remember, Hyunjin discovered this glowing orb device that is maybe the thing that is allowing them to travel to different worlds in this story. So he seems to be a key character in this story, as well as Felix and Lino. They seem to have other unique traits to add to this journey and where it ends up is anyone's guess, and that's kind of the point. So I know I'm probably not actually summarizing my theories in the most cohesive, detailed, concise way, but that's kind of by design. Like I said before, Stray Kids is all about singing about ambiguous and nuanced issues in a way that doesn't water them down and lets you just stay in reflection for a long period of time. That's why I was so excited to talk about this today, and why I'm always excited when they release something new, because it's not just a quick half-hour listen and then you go about your day. It's something you really sit with for the whole day and think about a lot. And for me, it's not just a day. It's been years, but it's really something it's really transformative. This power of music to pack such a punch and be so powerful in its messaging, both lighter and darker. And so I'm just very grateful to Stray Kids. They really put so much effort into this work. It's a great body of work as always, and it has so many layers to it. So again, I kind of apologize if you were hoping for a more clear-cut theory, but I think they didn't really intend for that here, because the story is so ongoing. But I just wanted to note things for you to keep in mind as the story goes forward, and then maybe they will explain more clearly what they meant by those in the future, and maybe they won't. Maybe they want fans to figure it out for themselves. So sometimes what I'm trying to say is that there's a reason for some of the non-answers. There's a reason for some of these things going unaccounted for, and I think only time will tell, or only our interpretations will tell, and that's the way it should be. So, but yeah, keep in mind the rose imagery going forward, the flames, all the other symbols I've been repeating a lot. Hopefully a repetition will help. It's been kind of intentional just to help you remember in the future during releases, hey, that is a key symbol to keep in mind, and there it is, it's back again. And so keep all of that in mind. Lino's character pulled this lever. I feel like that's huge to take note of as well. And again, parallels that you see. First, Stray Kids were the ones that were doing things they didn't want to do, and now suddenly they are the outsiders in a good light. So it's important to remember that they will continue to talk about the concept of time and growing up, because what I really, really, really appreciate the most probably about Stray Kids music are two things. But the first one I'll talk about is the fact that they address going your own pace in life, and they have a lot of lyrics, and literally they have that whole song called My Pace, like just stay in my lane, don't compare my lane to others. And so to me that's very refreshing to hear artists sing about, where they are opening up, because a lot of artists over time have opened up about the dark sides of fame, or just such a fast-paced lifestyle that comes with being a celebrity or being a musician or whatever, but they talk about it in such a unique way that really makes sense to me, and I think resonates with a lot of their listeners. So I think because they talk about the passage of time in such a unique way that makes sense and is relatable, because they sing about, for example, like they have songs from Go Live where they talk about feeling burned out and always putting pressure on themselves to work more and be more perfectionist, and just like that feeling of burnout, that feeling of guilt over just taking time to rest and just feeling like life is go, go, go. And I think that's why we have that car crash symbolism in this latest video, because it's a reminder that you can't go too fast or you will crash. It's about, taking that time for yourself. And yeah, they really embody these messages of just self-care and patience with yourself in a very unique way that I really appreciate and that really resonates with me. So I really appreciate it, and I think a lot of the other fans do. And so they basically, what's really interesting is when Bang Chan had this interview, well, all of Stray Kids did, but Bang Chan's answer stands out to me from this Recording Academy's website interview where he was talking about the meaning of Go Live. And so he was saying that their albums are intentionally like a novel in a way, because when you read a good novel, the climax is just one part of the story. And what he kind of meant by that and explained further is that, any movie or TV show or book has its highs and lows. It has scenes that provide a moment of levity or just calm generally or relatively speaking. And then it has those climaxes. It has those jump scares or moments of suspense or whatever it may be. But the heated scenes don't fill the movie. They ebb and flow. That's what makes the movie interesting. I would give up halfway through any movie that would just like keep me in suspense the whole time. That's not my thing. And I mean, of course there are suspense-filled movies, but you know what I mean? That a story needs some gradual rise to a climax and a gradual fall afterwards to really feel like a cohesive, understandable piece of work that really keeps you invested. And a climax loses meaning if the whole movie is a climax, if that makes sense. So if the point of suspense is just the whole thing, then there's not really a point of suspense to focus on that highlights anything major to focus on. So basically what he was saying was that Stray Kids albums are like that, where they mix the songs that are light and heavy, because that is kind of what keeps something captivating and interesting, is that when it embodies not necessarily one part of you, but allows you to think about all parts of you at once and take time in the dramatic moments to really enjoy the hype or enjoy the sorrow or whatever the emotion of the song is, to truly feel it. And then there are songs that, you get away from having to feel anything. And so they try to mix that up. And I think, so what this says about how they conceptualize time is that it's all about requiring and allowing yourself to have moments of rest between workaholic streaks, in my case, or, in other fans' cases, I'm sure too, where you just take a moment to remember that those victories you get from hard work are victories, because not every moment of your life is a victory. You can't have a climax if there's not a rise up to it and a fall afterwards. And you can't have those moments of victories if you're trying to stay at a victory all the time. You will burn out and crash. And so it's all about really coming to peace with that fact and knowing that life is not a race. That's what the Tortoise and the Hare is all about, and that's why they started this album that way. It's a nice full circle moment reminding listeners life is not a race, and that's been a constant refrain for them. So there are probably many more things I'm even leaving out, but that's the joy of this music they create that's so well done, is that it's so layered. And so I will be, after this episode, of course, listening to it 10 times more and probably discovering even more Easter eggs from the videos and lyrics about parallels between all the different trilogies and throughout all of them. But I definitely think it's intentional and will continue to be, that all of these storylines, again, have those through line symbols, but also stand out on their own and bring new ideas into the mix as well. This is what I love about groups who have so much control over their work and create their own work and are so hands-on with it, because they create these works of art that truly are so human, and they have all elements of humanity in them, and they're not, manufactured or whatever word you want to use for it. They stand the test of time and stand out to me because they are so authentically, organically created out of real feelings, so it's timeless. So that's what's the ultimate irony of Stray Kids music, is that it is both super relevant to our day and age and timeless, and they deal with the concept of time all the time in their music, but their music really is timeless. They worry about time in their songs, and ironically their songs withstand the test of time, because a group cannot grow old and outdated if they always are just being their natural selves. They can't outgrow their image, because their image is just who they are. It's not a farce that will fade away as they grow older. They're just growing into themselves. as opposed to growing out of some manufactured image. And so that's another thing I just love, the fact that they call this album In Life and they're growing into themselves just feels all very intentional. So if you took anything away from my ranting about what makes Stray Kids so special, I hope it's a couple things. One is that they have all of these different aspects of their songs and videos that all tie together to create this ultimate music video universe that is just so cinematic and just high quality and just worth worth talking about and sharing, and they really stand out to me, and I think they have a far in the future career, and that's really something worth acknowledging. The layers they put into their music, the emotions, the clever play on words, it's all so intentional and important and worth noting. I just think they are really truly change makers and will leave a lasting impact on K-pop and music overall. Really, I think so highly of them, and so I wanted to rant about them because I'm such a fan. That's my first reason for really doing this episode, is to break it down because I'm such a fan and want to appreciate their work. Second thing is because there is a lot to be learned from it that I think everyone can take something, everyone can take away a certain Stray Kids song and relate to it. So find one that works for you, I guess, is what I'm saying here. Third thing is that I just want to take a moment to thank them for just in general for making music that is so therapeutic, because especially this year when emotions are so high for everyone lately and, things are so hard and stressful, they have some songs that are truly the best relief, the most therapeutic thing, especially like I've talked about before on the show, like with me with autism, like I really get freaked out by a lot easily, and so to just like rock back and forth to like Side Effects or the song Miro and just do the whoo sounds and other fun sound effects that they have and like sing along and do the sound effects along with them, it's such a reprieve, and it's perfect for me. That repetition, the fun chanting, it's all just so perfect for me and therapeutic. So I just think they have a very unique, special magic touch with their songs that I appreciate. So yeah, I'm just overall taking this time to talk about why you need to revisit this album and give it another chance if you didn't think it was for you. Hopefully there's some part of it that will resonate with you. And let me know if you have other theories about all these symbols or catch something I didn't mention. I do think we'll continue to see new ones surface as well as, again, the old ones revived. So keep all of this in mind and, maybe bookmark a tweet about this episode or something for the future, because I feel like the story is really just beginning, yet another chapter of this very long, never-ending Stray Kids story of their journeys. I'm very excited to see where the story goes from here. And another great body of work, so great job, Stray Kids, and I hope all of the stays are having as great of a week as you can in 2020, but really, this made my week, and I really hope this release is really doing the same for other stay. So, stay, don't stray, as Stray Kids say. I have to end the episode by saying stay, don't stray, and I hope this episode was interesting and worth your while, and go back to enjoying the new album. It's called In Life. The new video is called Back Door. Spread the word and enjoy yourselves. I will talk to you all in a few days probably with the next new episode, but this is just Stray Kids, straight up just all Stray Kids content. So thank you for listening, and I will see you again soon. Bye.